Welcome to the 6th podcast in a series of 12. The Ricky Gervais Show, available online with me, Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant.
Hello.
And Karl Pilkington.
Alright.
Halfway through after this then, Karl.
Yeah.
You enjoying it?
It's alright, isn't it?
It's had a great response. We're the #1 podcast in the world. We've had thousands of emails and messages, and it's just great to know that people all around the world are listening, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's great, isn't it?
I should just point out, Rick, that we've had a few emails, including one from Mark Pavlidis, that says that some of the people listening on the enhanced podcast, so, you know, these fancy people, super rich people who can afford that one, apparently sometimes if they try to pause the show halfway through, it sort of freezes, and they've got a problem restarting it. And he's saying that apparently you should just hold down menu and select, and that'll reboot it. So I don't know if you have had that problem.
Hold on. Who's pausing this show halfway through?
I don't understand it.
I can't believe it. This is like a book that you can't put down.
What have they got that is better to do with their time?
What can be better than listening to Karl's drivel and his stupid theories? Unbelievable. We've got a little email straight away, Karl, from Nikki in Beverly Hills, California. She says, Karl, you rock. I hate it when Ricky and Steve ridicule you. I checked out your picture on rickygervais.com. Although your head is not normal, that's no reason to ridicule you. You look gimp, but I never judge a book by the cover.
Cheers.
That's all you've got to say.
Well, it's only 'cause I've got no hair though, isn't it? That's why it gives that effect.
No, it's perfectly round your head. It's perfectly spherical head. Your face is slightly too big for it. It almost goes over the sides. Perfectly round head. Pug little nose. Funny gimp eyes with no expression. Hangdog look. Like a little mouth, like a little lamprey, not formed, not human formed. The way your expression is like you've had a lobotomy. Your head goes weird at the back. It's got a little nod in it, like it's really strange, your face. And you're stupid.
We've had a lot of emails saying that. I mean, I think he's just paraphrasing, but... talking of emails, you know, I can't remember which show it was, but you mentioned, Karl, that you'd only recently seen a Chinese homeless person.
Oh, yeah.
And it really surprised you because you'd never seen a Chinese homeless person.
No.
And I actually went along with that. I've still never seen a Chinese homeless person.
Well, that's, other than obviously people contributing monkey news, the search for Chinese homeless people has been overwhelming on the email. People are just, people are actually going out looking for Chinese homeless people. Now, I can just tell you now that there's a few responses from Los Angeles, people saying there are quite a lot of Chinese homeless people over there because apparently there's a huge homeless community in Los Angeles. So definitely if you want to see them, Karl, that's the place to go. But we've had one from Vancouver, Canada, from a girl called Amy, and Amy herself is Chinese, and she says that she realised herself that she'd never really seen a Chinese homeless person. And although she says that apparently Vancouver has the first or second largest Chinese population in Canada, she'd never seen them, and she actually went for a walk around the Chinatown in her area looking for them, and she could not find any on that particular day. So again, Canada obviously not a place to go for a Chinese homeless.
It was just a point though. I don't want people sort of...
Well, hold on though. Wait, I'll stop you there. Hello, Ricky, Steve and Karl. I live in New York City and have seen a Chinese homeless person. Not only is he Chinese, but he is also a midget. He's been living on the streets for the last 30 years. He used to dress in rags, but thanks to a coat drive, he's now wearing a fancy Adidas jacket, right? Now he encloses a picture. He says he gave him $10 to take the picture, and I've seen it, and he's a little Chinese midget fella.
I'm just getting a bit worried that people are going out there sort of looking for these. Because
that's what you requested.
No, but all I was saying is, I saw one. I didn't start saying, excuse me, can you just give us a smile, I'm taking your picture. Do you know
we've had loads of pictures of people.
I know, and it worries me a little bit. And I mean, it's not too bad about the one who took one of a little midget one, because, if he kicked off, it'd be quite easy to sort of hold him back. But I'm talking about fully grown.
So is that your warning to people? Don't be taking pictures of fully grown Chinese homeless?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, don't be messing about going up to strangers and that and annoying them and stuff, right? Maybe
I think that's a good rule of thumb. Don't annoy them. But that is a hell of a sighting, isn't it? We asked for a Chinese homeless, and they gave us a Chinese midget homeless.
Many of the listeners are aware, Karl, that you're sort of fascinated by smaller people.
Well, he's fascinated by difference, I think.
Yes.
I don't think he's having a go at people. You're not when you sort of stare at someone because they don't look like you, and let's face it, most people don't look like you. You're not having a go, are you?
Well, like I say, first time I saw Steve, I was never having a go. It was just, oh, that's different. but like Steve, I was never having a go. It's just that thing of, oh, right, interesting.
What do you mean?
No, just I've said before about when I saw Steve and what have you. Now I've got used to it, and
Steve got used to it. What do you?
I don't know. Well, you know my feeling with this. I don't really know where he's coming from.
But Steve knows I'm not having a go either.
Yeah.
Karl used to carry around a book that was called the top 50 freaks of all time.
Well, it's interesting you should mention that, because we actually had an email from Richie who says that he's been a fan of ours for many years and he's listened to lots of the radio shows we've done in the past and things. And he says, of all the people you've discussed, Karl, in the past, including some of the people from your odd magazines, who would you most like to spend the day with, of all those people that you've encountered?
Favourite of all?
Well, certainly who you would want to spend time with, who you feel would be the most fascinating, the most interesting. Let's just recap on some of the...
Pillow Man, the bloke with no arms, no legs that can roll a cigarette with his mouth.
Yeah.
No, not impressed with him.
That's not sufficient.
What about the three-legged juggler?
So hang on, let's just recap for new listeners. This was a man with 3 legs?
3 legs, right. And it said his job, he became a juggler.
Okay.
Not using the gift that he'd been given.
What you suggest?
Anything. Running, swimmer. Just...
Yeah.
But yeah, what are the others? What are the other ones?
There was a picture of a gentleman who was fascinated by him. He used to play the piano.
Oh, he's got a tiny head, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's that. That's the one who he sort of ages fast.
Right.
So like every other week he's having a birthday and stuff. And yeah, that was weird.
He's not having a birthday every other week. His body's just aged, so as the appearance, his biology is sort of like he's 70, but he's only like 15. They don't have a birthday every week. You idiot.
But yeah, I don't know about knocking about with one a long time though. That's
only for a day.
Yeah. Suppose it depends what I'm up to. Because if we're going out and about, the Pillow Man would just be a bit of a drag. Whereas
if you're going for a walk across, the 3-legged guy, ideal.
So yeah.
The Ricky Gervais Show on Guardian Unlimited.
Lots and lots of people emailing just with questions for Karl. People just want to get his opinion on stuff. So if you have questions for Karl, keep them coming in. podcast@rickygervais.com. We can't really reply to your emails, but we do read them, so we really appreciate them coming in. Just a couple of quick ones for you, Karl. Wendy says, if Karl had to eat the same dinner every day for the rest of his life, what would he eat? She mentioned this because she was having Christmas dinner and it was a big, she loves Christmas dinner.
It's the trouble with Christmas dinner. I mean, the roast dinner is the king of dinners and the Christmas dinner is the king of roast dinners.
Yes.
But you can't have one every day.
No, it's absurd.
But it's brilliant.
We have 3 meats in our house.
It's unbelievable. The amount of meats is just amazing. It's just a plate of meat.
It's just meat.
With one Brussels sprout, one token Brussels sprout and the gravy. Oh.
You see, it depends, doesn't it? I mainly eat just so I keep going. I'm not that bothered about... Because I don't really taste it anyway, I just shove it down.
You're like a horse?
But at what point did it become important that things were sort of, seasoned or garnished to go with it and stuff? At the end of the day, we're all eating, aren't we? So you can move about and that, and you've got energy.
Well, we need to know what we're tasting, don't we? Because we need to have certain things. We need sugar, we need salt. So we need to know what they taste like to know we're getting them.
No, now we've got
them.
Chefs, so leave that up to them to make sure we're getting
I thought you were
salt.
talking about an evolutionary standpoint and how it evolved, not there was a little
chef...
Do you
think that's likely?
No, but leave it for them to make sure, we're getting safe food. I mean, to be honest, it annoys me the way people worry about food now and how there's so much to choose from. I think it's got out of hand. I'll watch...
Any form of choice really worries you, doesn't it?
No,
you don't like choice.
No, choice is good, but not too much. It's like with anything now, if you go into a toffee shop, there's like loads of different...
Where are you going to find a toffee shop?
You're in a fairy tale.
Yeah. You're in a Dickens tale in the 19th century.
You're in Shrek. And
you go into a toffee shop.
What's your point? You go into a toffee shop.
What I'm saying, you go into a shop full of toffees.
You just come from the candlestick maker.
Right? you go
Oh,
you go in
God.
there and there's just too much choice. It's like, what, and I can stand there up to like 4 minutes, sort of going,
Up to 4 minutes.
So specific.
4
So
minutes.
he's in a toffee shop in a top hat.
Well, he's only got 4
going-
minutes. He's only got 4 minutes because he's got to get down to the pea green boat that he's sailing off in.
Yeah.
no,
Good
but,
morrow.
well, forget the toffees.
Can I
then.
have some of your finest Oxfordshire toffees?
So you'd prefer it was just one selection of toffee? That's all they've got.
Well, maybe 2. What I'm saying is, right, there's now too much choice. Whenever you get a menu in a restaurant, it's not like you don't just go, oh, right, what is there? Yeah, I'll have that. There's too much. It's like a book now, isn't it? And you look at it all. And then you've got to that point now that people are even taking a risk when they're eating.
What do you mean?
You know, in Japan or China or something, they're eating that fish that if it's not cooked right, it can kill you, right?
Yeah.
Not worth the risk when there's so many other fish.
Yeah, I agree. Why
Have
are they...
mackerel, have a bit of cod or whatever.
Yeah,
As soon as there's a
why
risk,
yeah.
take it off. Take it off
I
the menu.
agree. I totally agree.
Not worth it.
We've got a fish that might or might not kill you. Well, is there anything that definitely won't kill you? Yeah, but a chicken won't kill you.
I'll play safe then. I'll have that.
I love that. I love the chicken.
That's what I'm saying.
The Ricky Gervais Show on Guardian Unlimited.
But anyway, we were talking about sayings and that. Stitching time saves 9. Don't. You know, I'm never going to use that. I don't think anyway. Right?
Okay.
Suzanne.
You're
does
never
me-
going to understand it fully, are you?
Suzanne repairs me stuff anyway. It doesn't really matter. But what about the one? About the one in greenhouses and that? Isn't that
People who
the
live
one?
in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
Yeah.
What do you... What that?
Does that confuse you? You've never understood that one?
No, that's a lot clearer, isn't it? It's sort of saying, don't be chucking stuff about if you're surrounded by glass and what have you.
Yeah, but don't forget, it's an analogy, it's a metaphor, it's not to be taken literally. It's not really just talking to people who live in glass houses. It's saying,
Hang on, sorry, before you say that, Rick, I'm intrigued to know if he's fully got to grips with this. Just
Okay.
give us your explanation again of what you'd take that to mean.
Well, just don't be chucking stuff about. Really?
so, well, if that was it, they just say that.
No, but that saying's been around a lot longer than we think. That's when people probably did live in basic glass houses and stuff.
No, whoa,
What they mean now- now
Who has ever lived in a
Sorry,
glass house?
so cavemen went from rock to a nice crystal structure, did they? What are you talking about? When did people live in glass
Well, no,
houses?
what they mean now, when that saying's used now, they mean sort of, you know, plasma tellies, ornaments.
No, they don't.
They're saying don't chuck stuff about because
No,
you'll
no,
break it.
no, it's not about damaging your own property.
They don't mean you're inside the glass house throwing rocks inside your own glass
It's
house.
a metaphor. It means don't be having a go at people if you yourself have got more to lose. Do you know what I mean? It means it could be anything. Don't start a war where you could come off bad as well. It's about how fragile your situation is. If you live in a glass house, metaphorically, don't throw stones at someone else, because when he throws it back at you, your house is more easily damaged than his. Again, metaphorically.
It doesn't mean that if you're living in a glass house or in a house with other precious objects, you don't, in your own home, throw bricks about. Because that would be a very specific audience that I was trying to reach, that phrase. I mean, let's be honest, what kind of a mental
Do you know
case?
what? I think we've got the crux to this. Right? I think I can answer. Right. Karl, what is an analogy?
It's sort of like a little story told quickly. Isn't it?
It's
It
a
is,
little
isn't it?
story told quickly. To what end?
Well, it depends what the story is.
Okay.
Depends.
Give me an analogy.
Well, for me, I thought a one with the greenhouse.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a greenhouse. Before it was just a glass house.
Yeah.
Alright, then a glass house.
Okay.
Right. What I mean is that glass house is metaphorical. It's about the fragility of your situation as compared to your aggression or your...
You see, I just prefer sort of, you know, what you say is what you mean. So people who live in a glass house have to answer the door.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I mean,
Because
you may be a genius, because I don't get that. People who live in glass houses have to answer the door.
Okay, let's hear his explanation.
Because the people knocking at the door will be able to see you because it's a glass house.
But what?
But you literally mean it, don't you? There's no analogy there or metaphor for you. You literally mean if you live in a glass house and
go
someone
onto the
knocks the door. So there's no hidden meaning there, is there?
Well,
Couldn't
normally,
that also, you have to add a number of other things, other caveats. Surely, if you live in a glass house, don't walk around naked.
yeah.
If you live in a,
These are literal. See, if you could actually make that into quite a nice saying there, because if that meant, if someone said that to me and they weren't a shaved chimp, right? If they said people who live in glass houses have to answer the door, I think that means, oh, yeah, it means that there are no secrets. You can't hide behind anything. If you're very open, if you've chosen to be totally open all the time, you can't go back on it. So people, if you wear everything on your sleeve, if you shout around and you tell the truth, and you can't go back on it. They can see through you.
It can mean that as well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
oh, that's handy. But just the idea that in your head, there should be sayings for people who live in glass houses. Who is it that's living in a glass house?
Well, I'm not talking about them. It's just that if everyone else is bringing up about these people who are living in glass houses, let's get to the real problems they've got.
He still hasn't got to grips with the idea of the metaphor or the simile.
People who live in glass houses should live near a glazier.
Right. Well, here's another saying, right, that I learnt recently from a mate, right? Oh, there's an elephant in the room.
Okay, I haven't heard that one, but explain it to me.
It's like when something's going on in a room, right, but no one's mentioning it because everyone's a bit too sort of. But in a way, it's better that it's out. It's like how whenever we go out for something to eat or a drink or something, it's normally after about 5 minutes the sort of topic gets onto the shape of my head.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
I can't resist the shape of your head.
Right, so you're happy
It's
talking
not just
about
the
it.
shape, though, is it? It's the state of it as
No,
well.
but
outside and in.
But-
I mean, it's a fascinating little objet d'art, his head.
but what I'm
it's perfectly round. It's got no hair where it should have. And it's hollow.
The features are slightly too small for the face.
Yeah,
No.
unbelievable.
No, but what I'm saying is, it's interesting how, like, I'm the elephant in the room, right? Nobody's talking about it. You mention it once, suddenly it's the talk of the town. Is what I mean. Everybody starts joining in, going, well, yeah, it is round, but it does suit you. And these are people who I don't even know sometimes, and they're all dipping in. And that is an elephant in the room.
So you don't want people to discuss the shape of your head or the lack of hair. You would feel better. You would feel happier that they didn't mention that.
Sometimes I think it's better that it's out there. It's made me a stronger person, though. It's the same way, we were talking about religion and that. Samson Delilah,
Yeah.
he got weaker without hair. Whereas with me, I think it's made me stronger. Because, it's almost like it's treated like a disability. Everybody's sort of mentioning it and talking about it. What's it like having a bald head? And, you know what I mean? So it's made me stronger.
But would you ever wear a wig?
Not really.
What
I
was
mean,
a long wig like Samson?
well, the only time I wanted a wig was when I did jury duty once, wasn't it? And it was annoying that I was sat on the jury right in front of, like, these criminals, right? Everybody else has got disguises. The judges have them wigs on, right?
That's not
It is a
disguises!
that's a disguise. That's why judges wear them, right? So
No! Well, then what if they print their name in the paper and have a picture of it? What do you mean it's a disguise?
it's a disguise, isn't it?
No! If it was a disguise, they'd go in with one of those glasses with a nose and the beard attached if it was a disguise. All judges would look like Groucho Marx if it was a disguise.
Well, I'm just saying that's what annoyed me when I was sat there on the front row, right? I couldn't have been any closer to the criminals, right? I was sat there and I thought, why didn't I just pop a little wig on or a pair of glasses?
I'd love to have seen you in the front row at Crown Court.
No,
I'd
because
love to see it because in this country you're not allowed to show pictures of jurors. You can't take photos in a courtroom, so there's always these sketch artists that draw drawings, and it's on the news. The idea that we'd have seen 11 people and a sort of Krusty the Clown figure would have been amazing.
Yeah, I would love to see the artist do an interview, because it would be like complicated people. Oh, hey, he looks characterful, and then just a little round head.
Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown sitting on the end.
Karl, you said that your New Year's resolution was that you were going to learn something every day.
yeah,
Have you learned anything today?
if I can. Today, like, I don't know the full facts of it, but
Could I just say that when someone says they learn something new every day, that doesn't count if they forget it the next day.
no, but,
Because that'd be Groundhog Day learning.
well, the thing I learnt today was about an octopus.
Oh,
Go on.
What they can do is, they've got 8 legs and that.
Yeah.
they
Tentacles.
can use 6 of them legs to cover their head, so they look like a little stone. And use the other 2 to run off. Right? But that's
He's thinking of Squiddly Diddly.
Yeah, it's a Disney image in his head, isn't
He's
it?
thinking
They're
of-
pink.
But anyway, that's you know.
So
that's
it's
not the
Pink
main
singing
thing.
a song in your mind and running off, yeah.
No, but anyway, but something else I learnt, right? It's mainly about animals and that, because that's
Yeah.
normally quite interesting.
Yeah.
There's a chicken somewhere,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Specific.
and the owner of it was getting fed up because, you know, he had to feed it and that, but it wasn't.
Embellishment.
It
Guesswork.
No, come on, let's hear it.
It wasn't giving anything back.
No eggs.
No eggs, right? So he was like, "Oh, I'm sick of this." Anyway, someone told him, pop a little axe next to its little house, right? So when it comes out in the morning, thinking, "Oh, I'll have another lazy day doing nothing," right? He saw this axe, and suddenly it was like, "Oh, right."
I'm for the chocolate thought, yeah.
It laid about 6 eggs.
It's rubbish.
Through
Squeeze them
worry.
out.
It's
super
rubbish.
quick.
The chicken wouldn't recognise an axe as a threat. It wouldn't be able to reason that, I better start working, or I'll be meat. I better start. It's absolute rubbish. Once again, it's this ridiculous thing you got that one personifying animals to reasoning powers better than yours. I mean, I think, you know, you make chickens and monkeys cleverer than you in your stories, which is weird, okay? It didn't happen and wouldn't work. Next! What else haven't you learnt today?
No, well, as always, things like that always get me thinking.
What
right?
else haven't you learnt today,
No, hang on,
Karl?
he's got his mind's working now. This
Go
apparently
on.
has got his
Yeah,
mind
so that's
working.
rubbish.
Well, do you think then that it's worth looking after animals then if there isn't any memory? If they don't know what's happening anyway, you're always going on about don't be cruel to things.
Yeah, why would you be cruel? There's one thing about imagining chickens can reason, and because they can't, being cruel to them. Why does it matter whether an animal can reason or not for you not to be cruel to it? The reason I don't like blood sports isn't the fact that there's a fox missing. It's the psychology of the people that get off on seeing an animal ripped to pieces. They wouldn't like it if it was a robot. They wouldn't care. For some reason, in their psychology, they like this sport. Why does it have to be a sport? They're not culling. They're not putting things down for a good. They like to see this fox ripped apart or a bull tortured for their own pleasure. That's why you shouldn't do it. Why would you ever want to be cruel to an animal, whether it can reason or not?
No. I mean, I don't mean really cruel, but I mean like there's an advert on that's on in the, you know, in Britain, advertising some supermarket, right? And it's saying, you know, we look at before, you know, we kill our chickens and what have you. They have a great life. This is like the voiceover, and you see Happy Chicken.
Yeah.
And it's going, we give it a good little house to live in. It's got straw.
Yeah.
It eats good.
Yeah.
And then we kill it. Right?
Yes, well that's better, isn't it?
Well, no, I don't think it is, though, is it? Because at the end of the day, if I was that chicken, right, I'm that chicken, loving my life. I can't believe me luck, right?
Well, we'd be pleased, because at least he'd be able to do the show, and we'd have some interesting conversations.
Yeah.
So there it is, right, wandering about. It's got its nice little field that it's working on.
Yeah.
It's got its nice food and everything. But it's going to die.
Yeah, we're all gonna die.
But then, if you were like a rubbish chicken that had like a rubbish life, you'd be going, "Oh, kill me."
Carl, they're not thinking what's going to happen tomorrow.
They don't know that they're going to get for the chop, are they?
A chicken's not going, I'm fed up with this. I can't wait for that axe to be used on my neck.
Yeah. Well, that's another. Now you've mentioned the cutting off of an head, right?
Yeah.
On the chicken. That's something else I've learned, right?
It's like a pinball is mine.
Amazing.
Isn't it? Ding dong, bong, dang, ding, ding, da, da. Oh, head, ding, ding, chicken, head off, bing, doing.
No, right, but this was in a proper science magazine as well. Right?
Yeah.
So you can't have a go. This wasn't something on the internet. This was printed in a magazine.
You read it.
Okay, and what was it?
And here comes the filter. It's going to come out nonsense.
Right, well-
you could have Professor Stephen Hawking sitting there whispering stuff in your ear, and it could all be true. But when you said it, gobbledygook.
Well, let's see then. Let's see, right? What they've done another experiment, right?
Yeah.
They've cut somebody's head off, right? And you know how they used to do it in the olden days, where they'd put your head in a stock, cut it off for whatever reason, right? You've done something wrong, right?
Mm.
And the question that everybody used to talk about in the village was, you know, oh, I made eye contact with it, right? And it was a bit worrying because he was looking at me and he looked fed up and that.
No, it's dead.
So they've put a bit of work into this, and they've done it again somewhere, right? And they've worked out that when the head comes off the body, it stays alive and that
No.
for 30 seconds.
Well, no, they don't know that. They can never know that.
No, they did it. They did this
No.
experiment.
What's alive?
The
What's
head.
alive? But there's loads of issues here. One, no one's experimenting with human beings cutting their head off, Karl.
Well,
two, no.
So you read this in what? Executioners Monthly?
This is in
no,
a
two,
proper-
Karl, it's what your definition of alive is. Because you can be alive and have no conscience.
No, but this is where it gets weird, right?
Yeah,
I haven't told you that.
this is where it gets weird. You talking about it.
So the head's off, right?
Yeah.
And what they did was they chucked a load of questions at it.
All sanctioned by the government.
Yeah, this is all fine.
So the head lands perfectly on the neck and goes, what do you want to know?
And it said,
So they're asking questions, and it's going, do you know what? To be quite honest, I don't answer your question. I'm a little bit annoyed about the execution still.
well, that was the interesting thing. They said it's about...
No, it's not. It didn't happen, Karl.
Let me hear it.
Oh, don't talk
Let me
shit.
hear it.
What are you talking about? Who these people around in white coats going, quick, ask it a question. It's bleeding.
Right, so they said for about 25 to 30 seconds. The last 5 seconds, it is sort of like, can't be bothered answering them.
Right, but prior to that,
But apart from that, they were chucking stuff. I don't think it spoke. I don't think it was like, 2 and 2, 4 and stuff. It was more, it was to do with blinking.
So blink once if you say
Oh,
yes, blink twice.
So I told it, said, listen, when you die, you're probably not going to be able to talk because your jaw's going to be on the ground. You're not going to be able to open your mouth. If you do, you'll fall over backwards and hit your head. Now listen, blink 1 for yes and 2 for no. Yeah, right, yeah, not too bad. Yeah, is the axe nice and sharp? Yeah,
Promise?
you're
Do you
talking
promise?
shit again.
You promise to do it? Yes. All
Yeah,
right.
well, yeah. The thing is, they wouldn't be able to do it with you, because if they cut your head off, it would just roll. It would roll away, because it's perfectly spherical. They would go, oh no, there's
Plus,
no... Oh.
it takes about 20 seconds whenever you ask Karl anything for the question to process and for him to start to formulate an answer.
Anyway, if people listening and that, if they learn anything, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Just send it in, because
it'll come out gobbledygook when Karl tries to translate it.
Interesting facts is what we're after then. Plus, also, if you've got any questions for Karl, if you just want to see how his mind works, then you can get in touch with us.
Or whether his mind works.
Indeed, we've
Any
some proof of
doctors,
that.
psychologists out there.
Podcast@rickygervais.com. That's how to get in touch.
Karl, it's what we've all been waiting for. Oh, chimpanzee that monkey news.
Right, well, this one sent in from Sam in New York, right? And it's about a fire that happened, right? In a really, do you know, like in New York, they have loads of big buildings, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Right, really, really tall ones. And stuff.
Skyscrapers.
Yeah. And there was a fire in one of them, right? So they did as expected. They called up, fire brigade and that. They turned up, right? Fire engine parked up. It's like, right, where's the fire? And they said, oh, it's on like floor 100 or whatever. And they said, oh no, we've brought the fire engine with the short ladders.
Stupid mistake, but go on.
Right. So anyway, so the fire's going and that, and they're saying, is there anyone in there? They go, I don't know, there might be someone up there, but the telecom's not working and stuff.
Who do you think might be up there, Rick?
I don't know. But
Just a woman, I imagine. Just a woman or a child.
Is there a fireman that could climb up a building at all without a
That seems
ladder?
unlikely, but go on.
Go on.
So anyway, so they said, well, how are we going to get up there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't.
But they've only brought the short ladders.
No, we can't. Let's go home.
Yeah,
Okay,
forget
that
it.
was monkey news.
So they said, well, there's a lot of like grippage.
Because they made up words. The firemen, the NYPD firemen.
There's a lot of grippage
On the side of the building and stuff. So anyway, they said, why don't we just go and get a monkey, right? So they got a monkey.
Whoa, that's a
Is
bit
that-
of a jump.
Is
They
that
just-
policy now in the New York Fire Department?
Well, you've got to think quick, haven't you? At the end of the day, if people are up there, you don't start querying if it work or not. You try everything that you can to help someone out, right?
That's the first thing I thought of. Was it a monkey?
So it was quicker for them to go and get a monkey than to go back and get the long ladders.
Why don't they get
Okay, fair enough.
Why don't they get Spider-Man?
Yeah, call Spider-Man.
Yeah, call Spider-Man.
So anyway, so they got a monkey down there, and they said, right,
Where'd
we-
they get it from?
We don't know, from the local zoo or something.
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So they said, look, let's, we've got to remember there could be someone up there,
Right.
and it'll shock them a bit if they look out, if a monkey comes in, right?
Yeah.
So they said,
Yeah, I don't think they'd care.
Get it
If their building's on fire, they're not going to go, oh, it's weird, there's a monkey at the window. They'd be screaming, save me! Oh, there's a monkey. Oh, where are you
anyway,
from then?
So they said, right, we'll just get it a little small uniform and that, the smallest you've got.
But, whoa, hold on though. Actually, where are you going to get that? I'm going back to the station. We'll get the long ladders while you're there.
No time.
No time. No, I bought the small uniform. I just didn't bring the long
Yeah.
ladders. You're an idiot.
So anyway, it goes up there. It's got all the kit on and what. It's got its little ARDA on and all that. It grabs. There was like a little person up there. Manages to grab that.
Not
give it a little.
Who was up there then?
It was just
Someone that was just the right size for a monkey to be able to rescue, which is handy. Because if it had been anyone else, like a larger person or a family, we'd all been screwed.
No, I don't know about the size of it, but it's just the story saying how like it was quite a big monkey, and that it was good at breaking down doors.
Oh yeah.
It was good at climbing into small spaces and stuff like that. Anyway,
But
so
it's big enough to carry a fully grown man, but small enough to climb through a cat flap.
Yeah,
Sure.
So
Which is handy.
So anyway, it managed to get
Did it have
the
the boots
person.
on as well?
It got the person and everything, and now it says it's sort of it's on call if they ever need it again. So.
Sure, and if they ever get anywhere again and they've forgotten the long ladders, but there's plenty of grippage, they just call for Coco.
So that's this week's monkey news.
Bollocks.
The Ricky Gervais Show on Guardian Unlimited.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our podcast there. Another half hour of absolute drivel. I've been Ricky Gervais. With me, Steve Merchant.
See you next time.
And Karl Pilkington.
Uh-huh.
And we'd all like to thank those brilliant guys at Positive Internet for hosting this podcast brilliantly. Positive Internet hosting the world's #1 podcast. Here's DJ Reach Around.
It is hard eating a knob.
So what are you saying? You could...
I'm saying like I could eat a knob at night. 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 I could eat a knob on the stick. I could eat a knob at night. 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 I could eat a knob on the slip. I could eat a knob at night. 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 I could eat a knob on the slip. I could eat a knob at night. I could eat a knob at night. I could eat a knob at night. It is hard eating a knob.
Hello, and welcome back to the first in the third series of the Ricky Gervais Show, with me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant,
Hello there.
and the fool, the round-headed buffoon that is Karl Pilkington.
Alright.
We've been away filming our second series of extras, leaving Karl to his own devices in a sweltering London. We've had a heat wave here in the capital city, haven't we, Karl?
It's been alright.
It's been up to 100 degrees, record-breaking temperatures.
Yeah.
What have you been doing, though?
Sort of enjoyed it a little bit. Was out and about.
Yeah?
Getting to see the place, having loads of walks and that. I like to have walks. You know, watching what
Like a
people are
dog.
doing.
Yeah! When he jumps off the couch and starts
Exactly.
scratching against the door.
Suzanne thinks it's time.
No, it's just good thinking time though, isn't it? As well having a walk. You've got no other clutter going on around you. And you just think about a lot of stuff. And you know, like say with the weather being hot and stuff, a lot of insects knocking about.
Right.
So I've just been watching them.
so while we've been filming a TV show, you've been watching insects.
Yeah, just seeing, because everybody knows insects are out there, but no one's keeping an eye on them.
What are they up to? What are you worried about?
Loads of Steve, you wouldn't be laughing like that if you'd watch them, because they do some weird stuff and that, is what I mean.
What sort of stuff? Any examples?
I saw a bee have a heart attack.
You saw a bee have a heart attack.
Yeah.
How were you sure it was a heart attack?
Because what happened, I'd been
Did it clutch its chest with all 6 legs?
No,
Were there some other little bee paramedics?
No, I'd just been out in the park anyway, just looking at, caterpillars knocking about. butterflies and stuff. So I was sort of aware.
So when Suzanne goes to work, she goes, Carl, don't you waste the day. Just because you don't work at the radio station anymore, I want you to do some constructive stuff. And you go, yeah, I am, yeah. And so in your head suddenly goes... and he goes out. Oh, there's a moth.
But the thing is, so I'd been in the park and I was aware of the insects that are around us more than, like, most of the time. And I come out of the park, just crossing, like, sort of a busy road and what have you, and I saw this bee to the right of me, sort of in the air, and it was a big one, and I was a bit like, oh, let's watch that. And it just fell. It fell from the air in front of me, and it was on the pavement, and I thought, oh, what's going on here? And I looked at it for a bit, and it was really still, gave it a little kick, just to see if there was any movement. Nothing. Stone, sort of, what's the saying? Stone cold dead.
Yeah, stone cold bee dead.
So
yeah,
that
I like
was,
the fact that this bee suddenly saw Karl and had a heart attack.
Yeah,
it'd never seen anything that round before. Yeah. It just thought it had approached him because he thought it was a sunflower.
My God, it's a giant walking orange. Every dream has come true.
No, but it just summed up life for me. I thought that's like us, isn't it? At the end of the day, they have heart attacks, stress.
You put it down to stress, do you?
Well, it's in London, isn't it? You know, everything has stresses from living here.
And they are bald, aren't they? They've got fur all over, but they lose the...
And always overweight.
It was a fat, bald bee. Oh.
So what did you... It fell to the floor and you instantly... You just kicked it. You didn't attempt to revive it.
No, I waited a second and just looked at it to see if there was any, leg movement or wing. And there was nothing. And then when I sort of kicked it, it was sort of hard. It had hardened already. It was just...
Rigor mortis
had set in.
Did it put you in a bad mood for the day? Because I know things like that can just send you over the edge for the day.
Death and that does a bit. Suzanne doesn't like me talking about death.
What riveting conversations do you come up with?
No, just things like, one of our mates has had a baby recently, and I just was saying, oh, when that's sort of our age, we'll nearly be dead.
Think of that.
That's the first thing he says, is a new life brought into the world.
I know.
But when he's our age, we'll be dead.
Yeah.
No, it's
maybe
weird.
they'll let you do the speech at the christening.
Yeah, it's just, so like I say, just insect life and that, it's interesting.
You say it's interesting, but do you care about really finding out about them? Do you really care about what bees do or ants do? You look at them and you make up your own world. For example, it had a heart attack, it's stress, it's overweight. You know nothing. I could probably, won't you look something up? Honeybees are fascinating. Honeybees, they've been around making honey for 100 million years. It's incredible. Their wings beat over 11,000 times a minute.
And he's thinking, no wonder I had a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly. But do you know, bees, like ants, are actually like specialised wasps. They're sort of developed from the same
family. Family, like.
Well, yeah. It
doesn't surprise me.
Doesn't surprise you, though. Does it interest you in any way?
Well, everything's linked to something, isn't it? It's like how they say we're from monkeys and that.
Yeah.
It's all the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've been watching loads of stuff. I've been watching ants. You mentioned ants. I've had a lot of moths in the house. They're sort of sad.
I mean, you say it like it was a garden party.
No,
Yeah.
it's just all these things. You look at them. I mean, you go into the scientific bit saying, it likes honey or whatever.
It doesn't like honey. The reason they store honey is to get them through the winter when there's not, like, nectar, or nectar's hard to get, and they store it. And they store too much, which is why we can skim a little bit off the top. We're like agents.
Yeah, well, but all I'm saying is I look at more about what its life is like. As
Well, no,
opposed
you
to...
don't. You don't. You guess. You make it up. You don't look into it at all.
No, but you can. A bit of guesswork is you're pretty close to the truth most of the time.
Why? What do you mean? Well, that statement sums you up. A bit of guesswork is pretty close to the truth.
Because if you watch something long enough, is what I'm saying, you can see that it's a bit clueless. It's the same way about ants, or they're hard workers and all that. I watch one; it's going back and forth all the time. They go one way and then they stop and go the other way. They try to look busy in front of the mates, but if you watch one long enough, it's back and forwards, and it's like it's done nothing there.
I'm going to carry this twig back and forth until I can knock off at 4.
There's a lot of that going on.
Is there?
Because there's none of that going on.
There is. No, like I say, the moth, depressing little sort of thing.
Why is it depressing?
Just the way it hasn't got eyes, has it? You just look at it, it doesn't know what's going on. I just don't. I think if you haven't got eyes, you shouldn't have wings.
That's a rule. If we could put that into practice, please.
That's a great rule. That's a fantastic rule, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you haven't got eyes, you shouldn't have wings.
Certainly true of people thinking of becoming an air pilot.
Ah!
You know, whilst you've been working and that, I've been travelling about a bit, just seeing the country and that. Went to Dorset, right? Nice beach there. And you know those huts you get, like a hut on the beach, and
where you get changed?
You can get changed in it, but they're better than that. It's like you can put a telly in it, sofa if you want.
Oh, you don't mean the Victorian changing huts?
Yeah,
you mean
those
like
sort of things. It's sort of bigger than that.
Yeah.
And we were walking down there, and there was a really sort of big fat family in one of them. There was about 4 of them, and you could tell that they've never had a game of anything. Do you know what I mean? They just sit down there, eating ice creams, looking at the sea and what have you. And the weird thing is, the little fat kid, the youngest one, who must have been, I don't know, about 8, he was really fat to the point of you couldn't see his neck.
Yeah.
And he sat at the front of his mum and dad and his older sister. He sat there. And he had a frisbee, and I thought, look, they don't want to play with him. I mean, that's an active game to play, isn't it?
Yeah.
Frisbee. As we got closer, he was just using it to eat Maltesers out of. I just thought, even again, you know, the one active thing he's got is using it to eat out of.
Yeah. Extraordinary.
And that just sums up what people are like now when it comes to keeping fit and activities.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Were you sporty, Rick?
I was, yeah. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Were you good at it?
I was good at some things. Was never good at rugby. Never good at cricket. Was all right at football. But those things were the more competitive things that were scary. So at my school, when you're surrounded by, like, people who the fun is hurting someone.
Well, it's weird you say it, because I remember the first day I went to play cricket, my mum said, as I was leaving, I was really excited about playing cricket, she went, be careful. I was walking across a playing field once, a cricket ball hit me on the head, I was unconscious for 2 hours. Freaked me out. On the way to play cricket, I thought, okay, always scared of the ball, because it's obviously, as you say, rock solid. I remember a couple of seasons later, I had to play rugby for the first time. As I was leaving the house, she went, be careful with rugby. I knew a kid once broke his back playing it.
I was terrified of rugby. I was terrified
scared.
of it.
Such a scary game.
The ball came to me, I got rid of it immediately.
It's mental.
Yeah.
I don't understand. And what I remember is, I remember a teacher saying you've got to play it very carefully because you can get seriously injured, you can hurt yourself, you can be crippled for life. I remember thinking, why are we allowed to still play this game at school?
I was worried about cracking heads.
Yeah.
And a finger in the eye.
How is it not bad?
That worried me all the time, a finger in the eye.
But they removed the asbestos from schools in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
But rugby, it's allowed to play. It's mental.
Yeah.
See, I had a mate called Mark who liked playing cricket, right? And when I used to say to my mum, oh, I just want to go out with Mark and his dad to play cricket, and she never used to let me go. She'd go, oh, prefer, you didn't. And I used to always think that, it's because it's a dangerous sport. You can get hit on the head by the ball and it's hard. Put an eye out or whatever. But it was because his dad used to drive us to the place to play cricket, and he had, his eyelids were too big. So, he used to have to sort of have his head right back.
Like one of those old-fashioned dolls.
Right.
Where you can lean about
They clunk back and clunk forward again.
And she didn't like me getting in a car with him.
Sorry, who is this? Whose eyelids are too big? So, growing up, you had a woman who had her head like a bag of spuds.
I didn't know her.
No, you had 2 kids at school with webbed hands and feet and big heads. Yeah. You had a pigeon chest boy.
Nowadays you're walking around with insects and moths like something from James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah. And you had a bloke whose eyelids were too big.
One thing I've noticed, because I occasionally go to the gym, and you know those guys who work out constantly to give themselves extraordinary physiques? Just they're on the trip, they're on the weights, and they're really... I've noticed in the summer particularly, those guys cannot wait to get their shirts off.
Yeah.
Everywhere you see, they're walking around. If they've got a good torso, they are walking shirts off. Even, I think, if you go to nightclubs, I notice there's always one guy who's thinking, well, I have put so much work into this body, I have got to get my shirt off on the dance floor.
A vest, yeah.
And it comes straight off.
A brand new tattoo. I'm not covering that up.
Exactly.
I've paid a lot for it. Let's see it.
Yeah.
But that's what we were saying about bodies. I can't remember why we were talking about it. We've got to a point in science now that you can change your head. Right?
No, well, that doesn't make any sense at all.
It was a programme it was done in the 50s or 60s where they stuck a monkey's brain on a stick and had it wired up and it still worked, right?
Right, okay.
And that was in like the 60s or
Right,
whatever.
okay. Well,
So-
to say to change your head makes no sense at all. Because if you put a different head on a different body, you're changing the body.
Yeah, I know, well that's what I'm about to say to you though.
What?
That's what I'm saying. That I'd be more confident if I had someone else's body, because if anyone dissed it, I can go, no, it's bad, innit? But it's
What
not
are you
mine.
talking about?
Well, it's like, say,
As opposed to someone else's head?
yeah. Well,
Well,
it
you'd
wouldn't be
rather-
me, would it? The head is me.
Well, of course it is. That's what I mean.
yeah,
So
the
what do you
head's
mean?
me.
You'd be happier having someone else's body? What, than your own?
What I mean is, say if you're wandering about, for some reason, there's an incident. You have to take your top off and that, and everyone's looking at you, right? And you're a bit sort of, you haven't got the muscles and that, you haven't got the six-pack,
Right.
which isn't that nice anyway. I don't know why that's become a nice thing, really, seeing the insides of you. You might as well. I mean, I know I came up with the see-through skin idea, but it's a bit weird, isn't it? You can see stuff.
No, it's the muscle in front of the...
No, it's not. Sometimes
is.
you can
It's
see
not the- it's
like,
not the
tubes.
outline of your
No, you
organs.
can't see tubes.
You can see tubes and veins and stuff.
Well, you can see veins.
Yeah, well, I don't want to see that. That's why we've got skin over it. Is
Well,
what
stop
I mean.
looking at naked men, then.
Why-
No,
you
but
keep-
sometimes you can't help it because it's been hot, and like you say, there's people walking about with vests on and that. So anyway, what I'm saying is, say if some incident happened, I'm walking about with my top off.
Right.
Girls are laughing at me, right?
Why?
Dunno, they might.
Yeah, go on. So they wouldn't look at your body, they'd all look at your head.
So what I mean is,
Yeah.
rewind that, right, and imagine all that happens again, but I've got someone else's body.
Right.
Whose body?
Just some fella who's died, and my body was injured, and they said, we've got a new body in. You can
Right.
have it. We'll
Yeah.
stick your head on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, say if
They're laughing at you.
they are
laughing at the
laughing,
body,
they're laughing
yeah.
at the body,
Yeah.
but at least I'd be able to sort of go, I know it's a mess, but it's not mine. At least I don't have to claim ownership.
So all of this extraordinary technology that can make put one head on another person's body is so you can go, it's not my body.
No.
But
it's not your
I'm
own.
not being funny though. So if you have a body transplant, right, and you're there, you're at home, naked, you look down,
Yeah.
lovely penis and a set of testicles,
Yeah.
right? What do you do with them?
What do you mean? What am I doing with them?
Well, do you like them?
Well, you wouldn't mess about with them as much as if they were your own.
But if you did mess about with them, would you feel guilty that you were messing about with another man's testicles and penis?
And it's the full body.
Yeah.
No, because they're not my hands either.
You're a genius! You're a fucking genius! So what you're doing is watching someone else wank.
Yeah.
Well, one thing Karl has been doing over the past few months is writing his diary. He's kept that up. I don't know what he's had to write about. All he's been doing is looking at moths and ants and bees and going for walks. But I'm sure it's all in the diary. So, let's have a look at that. Oh, I don't believe he's only gone and written it down the...
We went to the park and had a brew. Suzanne read the paper while I played with a ladybird. I mean, it's like a child, isn't it? It's like what a child would do.
Suzanne read the paper while I played with the ladybird. His only friend is a beetle.
It climbed up my arm. It struggled on me hairs.
This is in detail then.
Yeah. It kept stopping every now and then and was rubbing its head with its right arm. It did it about 4 times and always used its right arm. It rested for about 5 minutes, then flew off. Sunday. Had a bit of a to-do with Suzanne because she wanted a lion today. I ate this. Once you're awake, you should get up. I got up and put the radio on really loud. She eventually got up. I told her insects don't have lions, so we shouldn't.
Why are you obsessed
I
with
mean,
insects?
you must be fucking unbearable to live with. You must be a nightmare.
No, I've just started, because I've watched insects a lot, I don't want to keep going on about them, because we're a bit insect heavy. But at the end of the day, if we copied insects, we wouldn't go far wrong.
I don't know what you mean, though. 1 minute you're saying they're great, then the next minute you'll slag them off.
Yeah, I'll slag some of them off if I don't know what they're doing, but because I've studied them a bit longer, I just think they do
You
it
haven't
right.
studied them, though.
He thinks he's like Darwin.
But you just slagged them off again, don't you think that insects are doing stuff? They're not. It
Yeah,
goes there,
ants.
then it goes back again.
The ant was messing about, but only that one. The others were carrying stuff. That's what I'm saying. There's snidey ones in everything. In everything in the world, you get a hierarchy.
Oh, long words!
Ooh. The bookshelf was dusty, so Suzanne asked me to dust it if I get a minute. I ended up looking at every book.
Just the spine.
Yeah.
Just for a few seconds each. Yeah. Didn't open them.
I looked in the dictionary to see if the word dictionary would be in the dictionary. I didn't think they would bother with it being on the front page, but it was in the book as well.
It's a good point, though, isn't it?
No, it's not a good point, because you didn't tell us anything.
Dictionary is in the dictionary.
Well, of course it is.
Well, why? If you go, how do you spell dictionary? You look at the spine and you go, oh, there it is, D-I-C-C, and all that.
So what does dictionary mean?
It's a book full of words, isn't it?
That's what it means. All books are full of words, you idiot.
How to spell them. And if you don't know
No,
what
it's
it
not
is...
how to spell them.
All right, then, well...
I'll just look up something. No. It's not a book full of words to tell us. No. It's the meaning.
Give us
It's
the definition of
definitive
dictionary.
meaning.
It's a book full of words if you want to know what the meanings are. But if you didn't know
Well,
that...
I'm sorry, what was that sentence?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you didn't know that, then you wouldn't be looking in it, because you wouldn't know the book is about that. So, if you don't know the word dictionary and what it means, you wouldn't be looking at the dictionary, you'd be looking at an A to Z. Because you go,
Why
oh,
leave it
there's
out,
letters.
though?
Just because there's so many words in the world, I would have thought they wanted to cram as much as they can on a page, and if dictionary is already on the front...
Is that why you suddenly used the word hierarchy for the first time ever? Did you find that in there?
Did you see hierarchy in the dictionary?
I feel
I don't know where
that
that
big
was.
word has pushed out about 26 other more useful ones.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Suzanne's been going on about me learning another language. But I sort of think your brain has only got so much room on it.
And the rest of it's filled with lard.
So, if I've got to learn everything I know, again, but in a different language, it's taking up space, isn't it?
You don't learn everything. Oh, God.
It's all
What do you mean?
storage, isn't it?
But you don't have to learn it again. You don't have to learn the concepts again. You're merely
Do you know how
learning
many
vocabulary.
moves there are in the human brain? You don't worry, you won't use them all up.
I feel that he has reached his capacity, though.
Yeah. Well, you need another sort of, you need an update. You need some more memory.
Woke up to some interesting news. It's good when this happens because it sets me up for the day ahead. If it's miserable news, it affects my day. It said on the news that they have found 2 new flies.
Fucking hell, more insects! What have you done? Is that all you've done this summer?
Bong! Trouble in the Middle East. Bong! 2 new flies found.
Ladybird climbs up arm.
They were found in the UK and they were found close to each other. Maybe this happened because they were different than the other flies and weren't expected to hang about together, so that's why they knocked about with each other.
That would happen, wouldn't it?
What do you mean?
There's 2 new flies.
What do you mean? Does it mean there are 2 new flies that are a different species?
Yeah, 2 new species, and they found them close to each other, right?
Yeah,
And
but they didn't mean there was one of each.
No. Yeah, they did. They found 2 different ones.
No.
No, they have. Seriously, I know that. That's right. That's a fact. So you've got, like, I don't know the names of them. They give them odd names, don't they? Well, say
Yeah.
you call it A and fly B, right?
Yeah.
Fly A, I don't know, say that's orange.
This is just...
B.
Fly yeah.
No,
This is
but-
painful,
No, but
this
I'm
is
just making it
painful.
easier
But
for
5B
you.
wears
Okay.
a little hat. He's got a little hat.
Alright, yeah, fine. Now, they found the orange one and went, look at this over here. This is a bit weird. And they've gone, oh, that's a new species. Log it, whatever. And then the other one went, oh, keep your pen handy. Look at this one, it's got a hat on. So then they found them both within the same distance.
I don't know what that sentence means.
Keep going.
They
No,
found
let him
them
try and
both.
finish.
They found them both within the same distance.
But without interrupting him, let him finish this point.
Let me just make one thing clear. Karl Pilkington just said they found them both within the same distance. Think of that!
Don't know what it means, but go on, let him finish this point.
So what I mean is, they weren't knocking about with other normal houseflies, because they were probably sort of going, oh, he's a bit weird. leave it. Yet, because the other one was also odd, they're hanging about with each other. Don't you understand that? Why is that such an odd concept?
Because you think of it as like two little new kids in school.
Yeah.
They find out they're both new and they've got something in common.
They're both goths, so they start hanging out together.
Yeah.
And this was on the news, was it?
Yeah, just on the radio, yeah.
I know if I looked into that story, it would be 90% wrong.
Bit tired today, because didn't get to sleep as early as I wanted due to a moth getting in the bedroom.
Fuck me!
I got it in a glass and looked at it for a bit and then let it go because Suzanne wanted to go to sleep. Looked up some interesting news. Some people dug up an old body in Ireland. Turns out it's well old and was here when dinosaurs were here. The really weird bit is it had hair gel in its hair.
Right, what is it?
Fella.
Well, no, it wasn't around when dinosaurs were here then.
Just a bit after.
Right, fine. A lot after, yeah, go on. I think any hominid, anything that could even be linked to anything that may become man, is only about 1 million years old, and I think Homo sapien is probably only about 150,000 years old. Dinosaurs are about 150 million to 250 million.
Yeah, no, it's not the age bit, that's amazing. It's the fact of, there's a fella, won't have even had shoes on his feet,
Right.
and yet he was worried about his hairstyle.
Right, well that's definitely not true either. This is unbelievable.
Well, there was a man on the radio doing poetry, says Karl in his diary. I thought I'd have a go at doing a poem about today.
Not really. Steve, I'm a little bit queasy. He hasn't really written a poem.
He's written a small poem.
No, he hasn't really.
Yes. If moths had eyes...
Fuck me!
Let me read the poem, okay?
Oh, fuck.
You wouldn't interrupt T.S. Eliot.
Okay. Oh, okay.
If moths had eyes, would they be happier? How do they know they're not dead? Cavemen hunting for food, but not before they style the hair on their head. What would last longer in dinosaur times? A blind man didn't stand a chance. Not with all them rocks about. I'd rather be a blind moth.
Right. It may be the greatest poem
Now,
ever written.
just dissecting it briefly, you attempt to rhyme in the first 4 lines, but abandon the rhyming system in the last 3. Is there a creative decision for that?
Can we have Karl read that?
By all
Sorry,
means, yeah.
just you read it as you would like to. So this is, imagine this, right? Okay, this is going out all over the world. This podcast. And now, Karl Pilkington, a new poet from Manchester, now living in London, England, would like to read a poem.
If moths had eyes, would they be happier? How do they know they're not dead? Cavemen hunting for food, but not before they style the hair on their head. What would last longer in dinosaur times? A blind man didn't stand a chance. Not with all them rocks about. I'd rather be a blind moth.
He said it as though the last bit was going to rhyme. He said it like it was going to rhyme. Oh God!
No,
it's amazing.
I think he feels as though the final line, I'd rather be a blind moth, is going to be one of those great, a summation that somehow the moth is a metaphor, the caveman.
No, but
there's
all
no
I'm doing-
metaphor in that. He really does mean he'd rather be a blind moth.
Yeah, well, I'm just because I've looked at the day's news.
Can we always do that, Karl? Can we always find a day, right, and always sum it up in your thoughts, a poem? Just like that. I love that structure. I love that structure. If there's any English students or professors or novelists or poets listening, please email us what they thought of that poem, why it's good, why it's bad. So, give us your thoughts on that. I mean, we would love expert opinion, poets, English professors. Just email us at podcast@rickygervais.com. Now, Karl, apart from being a poet, you are an author now. You've written a book. Which surprised me and Steve, because as Steve said, we thought you'd read a book before you actually wrote one, but you've proved us wrong, and all your teachers wrong, and everyone in the world who thinks you're an idiot. It is actually a very good book. I mean, a lot of it is transcripts from, the podcasts, but you've answered some of your critics, haven't you? And you've tried to prove some of your theories. It's everything about Karl. It is like...
All the drawings.
All the drawings. There's new stories, isn't there? There's so much effort. I can't believe it. He's been working on it for months. And it's out on the 18th of September, but you can order it now, can't you, on Amazon.com and Amazon.co.uk.
What's that book called?
It's called The World of Karl Pilkington. Well, thanks very much. Goodbye from me, Ricky Gervais. Goodbye from Stephen Merchant.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from the little hollow, egg-headed moron that is Karl Pilkington.
Right.